for live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. It's time for live chat. On your YouTube machine. It's time for live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. I'll answer your questions about whatever you want to talk about on the Psychetruth. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Ooh. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Live chat. Thank you so much for coming. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Corrina Rachel, and this is my weekly health Q&A live chat, which I lovingly call Ask a Health Coach, because that is what you get to do. Ask me your health, fitness, nutrition, stress, ASMR related questions. Anything under the big umbrella of health and wellness is fair game, so I want to welcome you. I wanted to do this really cool, like, slowed down, funky version of the live chat theme song, and then I was like, you know, it's just not quite right without that nice, upbeat, also hopefully cool and kind of funky version of the live chat theme song. But anyways, I am having fun today. I hope that you are too. I want to welcome each and every one of you. Alrighty, so in case you have not been to the chat before, I do want to just quickly let you know you can ask your questions in the chat. It's very helpful to me if you put question marks at the beginning of your question. It just makes it easier for me to see the questions amidst all of the little conversations and stuff. I love for y'all to be talking amongst yourselves, but sometimes it can be hard to see the questions. I also want to remind you that this is a super chat, which means that at any point I might start flying. Well, I'm still working on my actual superpowers, but this super chat means that you can leave a tip with your question. And guys, we really, really appreciate your support. If you've been watching what's going on in the world of YouTube, you know that there are tons and tons of channels that have been affected negatively by the advertiser boycott. Many channels have disappeared completely. So we're really lucky that we have not had to shut our doors here at Psychetruth, but your tips really do make a difference, guys. And if you leave a tip, it'll bump your question up to the top of my feed. It's the only way to get a guaranteed answer. So I'm already seeing tons of question marks in here. I want to thank everyone for coming. I would love to give all of you a shout out, but then the live chat would be over and I wouldn't have gotten to a single question. So shout outs to all of you. Thank you for coming. I'm going to go ahead, get my timer set up here so I can try to not spend too long on any individual question. Why am I having so much trouble here? Here we go. Stopwatch, timer. Okie dokie. Here we go. Aaron Finn, other than stress and insomnia, what is the technical, biological, chemical causation for dark under eyes? I actually don't exactly know the technical, biological, chemical causation. I would just kind of imagine that this is like some of our most delicate skin underneath the eyes. One thing that we don't think about while we're awake is what's called eye strain. So it's basically just straining your eyes to see stuff. So obviously, if we're sleep deprived or we're under lots and lots of stress and not getting good sleep, we know that those dark under eye circles are typically what result. But another part of keeping your eyes healthy, both the eyes themselves and the delicate skin around the eye, is not straining your eyes unnecessarily while you're awake. So we could talk about things like, if you're always squinting, maybe consider getting glasses. If you have a hard time, reading certain things and you find that you're squinting all the time, just know that general eye strain not only is a big cause of things like headaches and tension and even shoulder tension and stuff, can actually start with straining of the forehead and eyes. But those dark under eye circles are also going to be, just as you stress those muscles, we've got all these delicate little muscles, delicate skin. So paying attention to eye strain, taking your eyes off of the computer is another really good thing to do. One of the things they recommend for keeping your eyesight healthy, not completely related to under eye circles, but I think it's fair game to mention this, is focusing on things at different distances away from you. And if you can get outside and be focusing on trees and leaves and flowers, they've actually found there's biological benefit when we look at things in nature. And even looking at a picture of nature is healthier for us than not looking at a picture of nature. So get outside, and when you are outside, look at things at different distances and just focus your eyes on something that's really close, and then focusing your eyes on something that's really far. These types of things are also really good to do while you're at work. So if you can step away from your desk once an hour or every 2 hours, if once an hour sounds like too much, just standing up, getting away from your desk, and then finding other things to look at other than a computer screen. I don't know this for sure, but I anticipate that in the coming years, they will actually find that the radiation that comes when we look at computers and cell phones and all those different TVs, whatever type of items, that radiation that we get when we look at those things is probably not good for our eyes either. So like I said, I don't know for sure that that's related to dark under eye circles, but definitely something to consider. If you spend a lot of time in front of a screen, just try to break that time up. Look at something else. I know that they make little screen protectors you can put over your computer. I don't have one yet, but I really want one. But that would be another thing to consider. All about just protecting our eyes, and then trying to be in nature as much as possible. I so need to become flexible. Miralita Bruh. So yeah, we actually just posted a video last week, and it's called Not Flexible? Stretches for the Inflexible. And I really loved that video because Nico, the presenter in that video, I kind of told her, hey, what if we just totally scale it back to super beginner stretches? What could we do that somebody could do that feels like they're not flexible? And so that's what she created with that video. And there's all kinds of little assisted stretches, but that would be a really good place to start. The thing about flexibility is that no one is just inherently flexible. Aside from, every once in a while you have people who like the muscular, or the whatever it's called, inside of their tendons. There's this lady in Russia, I can't remember her name. But anyway, she's super bendy and flexible, and it's because there's actually an issue in her joints that, while it is a defect, technically allows her to be super flexible. But other than situations like that, what my point is that everyone has to work towards flexibility. And each and every one of us has the same potential for flexibility. It's all just about putting in the time, holding those stretches, all right? And the longer you can hold a stretch, the better. Really breathing calm, deep breaths while you're holding an intense stretch. And then just being consistent. You know, nobody's going to be able to do some stretches one day and then the next day they have their splits and all their other flexible challenges. You know, but if you are consistent and you just keep up with it, be kind and nurturing to your body rather than feeling like you're fighting against it. Like, why am I not flexible? Why am I so stiff? Why am I not strong? Work with your body. I am becoming more flexible each and every moment. It's amazing what my body is allowing me to do. I'm going to nurture it with stretches and yoga to help it become more flexible. Change your relationship with yourself and you can see huge gains as opposed to always being stuck in that mind frame of I'm not this enough, I'm not that enough. I don't personally do gymnastics. I am sure I could if I tried. Like I just said, everyone can be flexible, right? I'm a little afraid of heights, I'll be honest. So I'm like 6 feet tall. Y'all probably can't tell that from looking at my head, but I'm like 6 feet tall. So I have a little bit of fear around like flipping over and going upside down and heights. So yoga, I would say, is a little bit more my speed as compared to gymnastics. Arpana Sharma, please suggest healthy dinner options apart from salads. Okay, so I love to cook, but I am not a super great cook, and I don't really follow recipes. I mean, from time to time, I might follow a recipe and like make banana nut bread or something. But as a general rule of thumb, from night to night, when I'm making dinner, I'm not following recipes, and I'm not really doing anything too fancy. The main thing to think about is just increasing the amount of vegetables as much as you can. So obviously salad is great. And I'll be honest, I eat a salad with pretty much I try to eat a salad with every meal, but at least when I'm cooking at home, I pretty much always make a salad. But aside from the importance of salad, simple ideas could be like, okay, let's say you're gonna make pasta, which is awesome, right? And what's really neat is there's actually some pasta brands out there now that are making pretty low carb, natural, minimally processed pastas. So I think Ancient Harvest is the brand that I use, and they do things like corn and quinoa to make pasta, which is way better for you than enriched flour. But anyways, let's say you're gonna make pasta. Well, instead of just pasta and pasta sauce and meat, what could you do to chop up a bunch of vegetables and throw those in with your pasta? So I actually did this last night. It was like pasta and celery and bell peppers and onions, and a big salad. I love doing things like baking Brussels sprouts with like a bunch of onions and Brussels sprouts. Then you bake them with some olive oil, and it's just they're amazing. You know, let's say you're gonna make a meatloaf. Add some veggies to it, or, you know, whatever you're doing. Like I said, I like to think really simple. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have a piece of fish, and I'm gonna have some steamed carrots and some steamed broccoli and a salad. I'm like very basic. I don't know if that's really giving you options, but guys, the internet is your oyster. What I mean by that is that, you know, if you put in healthy dinner recipes as a search term on Google, you can spend the next 5 hours reading through different people's healthy recipes and healthy meal ideas. So I just really encourage you to look around a little bit. And when you see something that, you know, resonates with you, because we all have different tastes, you know, we all like different things, you know, just look at some different ideas. And then what I like to do is kind of piecemeal things together. Like, oh, I learned how to make this really delicious sauce. I'm going to put it on top of something else. Last thing I would mention, what was the last thing I would mention? Oh yeah, is to consider the things that you love to eat, and then just challenge yourself to make a healthier version of that thing at home. So what about pizza? Who doesn't freaking like pizza? Well, what if you went out and either bought like a healthier crust, so maybe it's whole grain, or maybe it's wheat free. there's a lot of like grain-free and gluten-free pizza crust type things out there now that are made with things like almond flour or tapioca flour. So if you had a healthier crust, and then, you know, I would use like organic pasta sauce or something if I was going to buy a sauce, or make it yourself, right? The bottom line is that anytime we're cooking at home, even if we were to cook the same things that we would eat from a fast food restaurant, they're like 100 times healthier when we cook them ourselves. So even if you were going to make ground beef tacos, it would be healthier for you to cook those items at home than it would be to eat those same ground beef tacos from Taco Bell or something like that. So just consider, you know, making more food at home. Start with the things you know you like. The things that you know you like to eat. And then later on you can progress to healthier meals. But a good place to start is with the foods you already love, and then just trying to, you know, find ways to make that thing healthier. Or heck, eat a horrible, unhealthy pizza, but eat it with a salad. Aurora whispers, had the theme song in my head all day. Glad to hear it finally. That is so sweet. Thank you. Y'all are so sweet. I'm glad you like my singing. I love singing. I'm a total goofball, so you know, when I started the live chat years ago, I was like, you know what makes a show an actual show? If they have a theme song. If they have a theme song. So that was the birth of the theme song. Whoa, I just got flooded with comments. Holy moly. All right, sorry. Okay, so I'm just gonna try and scroll back up to where I was. All right, now I'm seeing lots of question marks. Man. No, I don't know anything about horses. Ariana Grande, I can't believe you're here in the live chat. Just goes to show you, even celebrities like health advice. Raheel, how much time do you need to be an advanced flexible person? You know, there's really not an answer for that because every single person is different. It's going to depend on how old you are when you start working on your flexibility. People who start flexibility and gymnastics types of things really young will tend to always have more flexibility throughout their lives. I'm just saying that based on what I've seen and the people that we've worked with. The older you are that you start trying to become flexible, the more you are unfortunately kind of challenged by however many years behind you there are of poor posture, of weak muscles. You know, one thing to understand about flexibility is that strength and flexibility are like intertwined. You can't have someone who's really, really flexible but really, really weak. Whenever you are stretching a certain muscle group, there's generally always going to be a complementary muscle group that's being strengthened in that stretch. That's not all the time happening, but certainly when we talk about you know, really working to improve flexibility and doing something like yoga to help you reach that, all of those poses are not just stretches. They're actually building strength and flexibility. Those things are intertwined. You know, so again, depending on, you know, how is your posture? How fit are you? Are you coming from having been really fit and really healthy and just not really working on your flexibility? Or are you coming from a really sedentary lifestyle where you really haven't worked on your strength at all throughout your life? So I unfortunately can't give you an answer. I would say the more consistent you are, the more patient you are with yourself and really putting the time in to help you stretch, the faster that flexibility will come. If you're just stretching once a week or twice a week, it's going to take you a long time to really see your flexibility improving. But if you come back every day or even a couple times a day to those stretches, you can see really, really pronounced progress very quickly. Chinwendu Madwako, I'm so sorry. Chinwendu Madwako. What's your best advice for someone passing through depression? First of all, I just want to give you a big internet hug because I know that is not an easy situation to be going through. And unfortunately, there's really not an easy solution. There's not like just go out and, take this supplement or do this thing and you're going to have immediate changes. But there are definitely things that you can do. I'm going to put my timer on for this one because I could talk for the whole rest of the chat on this question, but I don't want to do that. Probably, oh man, gotta try to change gears, right? Depression. Depression is something that can have a lot of different factors influencing it. We could talk about our daily life. We could talk about our job, our relationships, or sometimes depression just comes from a feeling like we aren't really living. Like we're just kind of moving through, going through the motions, but there's nothing that really gives us passion or gives us purpose. And I think one of the, biggest things for me, so thinking about myself when I was a teenager, and I was pretty depressed as a teenager. I was very emotional, and just, didn't really feel super great all the time. And I think about what changed for me now, where I feel really pretty good all the time, or at least most of the time, was finding something that I'm really passionate about. Finding something that, makes me feel so purposeful and so, meaningful. But what I mean by that is just not feeling useless or meaningless. And that's been helping people. Making these videos, running this channel, doing my little nutrition videos is maybe just about an eighth of what I do at Psychetruth. I film all the fitness videos, I coordinate all of our instructors, and I just feel so much like the work that I do, and this is my day job, the work that I do in my day job helps people. It provides something beneficial and literally has the potential to reach out to people all over the world and give them something to help them feel better. So that was, a huge part of, my purpose, so to speak, and really feeling like it gave my life meaning. Anytime we can reach out and help another person, I think that is maybe one of the most, lack of exact word I want to use, but one of the most powerful ways to help ourselves feel better. And it's kind of backwards thinking, right? Because we're feeling sad, we're feeling bad, we get very kind of like the blinders are on, and all we can see is our own life and our stress and the problems we're experiencing, and those problems are real. I'm not in any way trying to say oh, your life's not that bad or whatever. It's not that we shouldn't feel bad about what we're going through. And it's not that we shouldn't feel sad about what we're going through. Actually, expressing and feeling those emotions, I think, is a big part of moving through that. But also recognize that anything you can do to kind of take the blinders off is going to actually help you. So for me, helping other people is a really good way to do that. When I'm just feeling super introspective and super stuck in my head, if I can talk to someone or reach out and help someone or make something that could help someone, that is just so powerful. So whether you find somewhere to volunteer your time, I mean, I think if we volunteer our time somewhere helping others, that's a really powerful way to, just kind of change our relationship with ourselves and with the world around us. Or, someone else that who's in need. Maybe somebody just needs someone to talk to. But whenever we, so I'm a big, count it off on my fingers person. So anything you can do to take your blinders off, interact with other people, helping other people, anything you can do to, like I said, either create something or reach out to someone. But if you can help someone else to feel better, that I think is a really good way to help yourself feel better. Feel your emotions. Don't try to run from them. Don't try to hide from them. The only, what is that saying? You can't go around, you have to go through or something. But that's kind of how I feel. And I know that when I'm feeling certain emotions, and especially sadness, I have to cry it out. It's not healthy for me or the people around me to try and just bottle it up inside and pretend it's not there. I think this is one of the reasons that therapy is so profoundly beneficial for us, because it gives us a chance to just talk about what we're going through. And a lot of times, when I've tried to recommend that to someone, they'll be like, oh, but how could that person ever understand what I'm going through? I can't stand talking to a therapist because, they don't know what I'm going through. They can't understand. And I would just say that, the benefit that we get from talking to, a therapist or really anyone, or even a friend or family member, or even a complete stranger that you met online somewhere, is not that they're able to understand what you're going through and they're able to give you some kind of profound advice. The benefit is from us talking about our feelings, is from talking about the way that we feel, and just kind of getting all of those things that feel like they're going crazy inside of our head outside. There's also this concept of catharsis, which even back in Shakespearean times, they recognized this. They recognized that you could have immense benefits in helping people to feel better by letting them go through an emotional catharsis. In the case of Shakespeare, that was through theater, right? But they recognized that, by helping people feel really intense emotions, that gave them this benefit that was called catharsis. And so I just, I think about that myself when I am feeling sad. And I would just encourage you to kind of think about that. What can you do not to help you get away from the emotions you're feeling, but to really feel them more and cry it out and scream at the top of your lungs and just be as emotional as you need to be to help you feel those emotions and get through them, rather than feeling like you're sunken inside of them or like they're drowning us, which is how it can often feel. I'm going to go ahead and move on. My timer already went off and I silenced it so that I could keep talking. But I'm going to move on to the next question. Chinwendu, I don't think I'm saying your name right, but I pray for you. I truly hope that this information is helpful. If you put in depression as a search term on our channel, Psychetruth, you will find tons and tons and tons of videos that we have made over the years on this topic. Also on our ASMR channel, there are some videos and guided meditations and positive affirmations that could really be helpful for you. Unfortunately, there's really not a one single thing that we can do to help with depression. It's about really just, maybe experimenting with different things to find what helps us feel better. And I just pray that you are able to find those things and that you are able to feel much better very, very soon. Big, big hugs. Getting out of this really emotional, about to cry gear, and looking for some other questions. Okay. Kia, Ehab. Probably not saying that right. How can I start yoga from A to Z? So we have a ton of videos on this channel called Complete Beginners Yoga. There's also some things called like safe stretches for beginners, or that stretches for the inflexible video that we just put up a couple weeks ago. Tons of videos like that to help you get started. Also, if you are on Amazon and you have Amazon Prime, we have an entire Complete Beginners program that Mira Hoffman made. And it's a 10-part series, like beginner yoga A to Z, I would say, is exactly what that program is about. It's all teaching you poses and helping you kind of learn some of the really important foundational poses. That's also available on our subscription service, Wellness Plus. So we're basically in a situation right now where we are, our video production machine is just like churning out videos. We're producing like 10 to 20 videos a week, but that's more videos than we can post on the YouTube channel. So we now have a subscription service, and it's called Wellness Plus. It's like Netflix, but for wellness. Anyhow, over on that service, there are tons of like comprehensive series. So I know that 10-part beginners program by Mira is up there. Also, we are in the middle right now of filming a 30-day yoga challenge that is also kind of taking people from a beginner level and helping to show you how you can advance the poses. And depending on the person's flexibility and strength, you may be able to actually meet all of the challenges as they go. But anyhow, that program will definitely help. I would just encourage you to start watching instructional yoga videos. Always probably a good idea to start with those ones that are called Complete Beginners. But we have tons and tons of yoga videos up on this channel that will definitely be a great way to get you started. Patience, Zuberu. Having a sharp pain at my bum as a result of a lumbar back pain. So I think that's L7, S1, the sacrum, right at the base of your tailbone. You know, there's a lot of different things that can be done for low back pain. Obviously, we have a ton of stretching videos on our channel for low back pain. There are a variety of stretches for back pain, yoga for low back pain. We've done a lot of different things there. So I'd encourage you to kind of just start with some of those stretches, but really be sure to listen to your body, because there may be some things that make it feel worse. There may be some things that make it feel better. Another thing to consider is that you could actually have some kind of structural issue going on in those vertebrae, and unfortunately no amount of stretching will actually be able to resolve that. So if you start moving and stretching and whatever and it just feels worse, then stop. And I would encourage you to go see a chiropractor. They can actually, through palpation or touching, and also depending on where you go, some of them have really cool gadgets and stuff now where they can actually determine if you have a subluxation of those vertebrae. So basically that's just where the vertebrae are supposed to kind of like set on each other, and then there's a little disc that kind of cushions them. And then so subluxation is where they just start kind of coming off of the fold or off of the little disc. So maybe they kind of bend one way or the other, or maybe that disc just gets kind of flattened, or you get what they call a pinched nerve or a pinched disc. So a chiropractor is really the only person who's going to be able to actually determine if there's something structural going on. That would definitely probably be a good place to start. That I know what you mean about that pain. I get that kind of pain down, like just on the side of the sacrum, as well. Other things to consider are that, our posture, our ability to sit up straight, or our feeling like we got a slouch, that comes a lot from the musculature definition of our abs and our back. So we got muscles on both sides that are there to help us sit upright in a healthy, comfortable position. I have a bad slouching problem. I'm always trying to remember to stop slouching. But, that's just something to start considering. If you're slouching all the time, slouching, posture, slouching, not slouching, slouching, not slouching. But if you're slouching all the time, that's a really good indicator that the ab muscles and the back muscles are too weak. And once you really work to strengthen your core muscles and your back muscles, you'll start finding that it's easier to sit up straight and have good posture, and it'll start to take some of the pressure off of the lumbar spine or low back. Because a lot of that tension that results in our low back is because of poor posture of how we're sitting. So when your back is hurting really super bad, you're not really going to be able to do back and core strength workouts. But when that pain subsides enough for you to strengthen your abs and core and back, I encourage you to do it. Those are going to be really important things to help, just have that strong musculature there to keep the integrity of your spine and your posture all throughout the day. As we approach the halfway point here, I just want to remind you guys that this is a super chat. So if you would like to share a little love, guys, we really, really would appreciate it. It really does help us out. You just click the little $$ looking thing underneath the text box where you put in your comment, and that will also bump your comment up to the top. So people who are leaving questions now, I probably won't get to those questions. So please, 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 I would be so grateful if you can share a little love. Say and Groove. Corrina, can you do a weight loss series on healthy alternatives to junk foods like cakes, cupcakes, Starbursts, hot dogs, Airheads, etc.? Okay, so Say and Groove, I initially saw your question down there and I thought, I'll say healthy alternatives to all these things. And I was a little bit, like, oh man, I don't know if there's gonna be a healthy alternative to Airheads. But then, I got to thinking, and I think that actually would make a really cool series. And I could just go through and there would be a little video on each one of those items. Healthy alternatives for cakes and cupcakes. Healthy alternatives for Starbursts, hot dogs. Because there definitely are healthier ways to make cakes. So for instance, one simple thing would be, well, I guess this is two, but replacing the unhealthy ingredients with healthier ingredients. So instead of enriched flour or white flour for your cakes and cupcakes and breads and muffins and bagels, what if you used a whole grain flour? Or what if you went gluten-free altogether and used almond flour, tapioca flour? There's also coconut flour, which can be really, really superb for sweet things like that as well. Just using a healthier flour. There's a company called Bob's Red Mill, and they make all kinds of like hot cereal type of things, like kind of a like oatmeal sort of thing. But they also have like pancake and waffle mix. and stuff like that, that is, again, just made with these healthier flours. Less processed, more fiber, more protein, because they're using natural foods rather than that highly processed white flour. And then using natural sweeteners instead of refined sugar. So using applesauce in cakes and stuff like that is a great thing. I've been doing that for years. So you can just like cut the sugar in half and use a cup of applesauce or something. You could also use things like dates, or just opt for some of the less processed sweeteners. So we could talk about agave syrup, coconut sugar. I think that a lot of those sweeteners are still, I mean, they're certainly still processed to an extent, but they're definitely much better for you than the refined white sugar, or, you know, a lot of those other sweeteners that people use. Your healthiest sweeteners will be things like honey and maple syrup. Those things that haven't been processed at all. The only ingredient on the label is honey or maple syrup. So just using healthier ingredients to make those things. When you talk about starbursts and airheads, fruit, you know, all of those fruit flavored candies, I would just encourage you to like eat fruit instead. You know, if you're coming from a long life of eating hot dogs and airheads and starbursts, one of the things that happens is that our taste buds start to get overstimulated. So in the case of sugar, I know I've said this before in previous chats, but I think it's an important, you know, a good concept to think with, and hopefully gets the point across. You know, white sugar, what you see as just sugar on the label or what you buy in the big bag at the grocery store, it's like the cocaine of sugar. And I kind of mean that literally. So you take the sugar cane or the sugar beet, the plant, and then you process it. You refine it down, and what you get is a little white powder called sugar. So it's like the same process as they make cocaine. Not exactly the same chemically, but you take a plant, which in and of itself is not bad for you. You can get a little bit of a high or whatever from chewing on the plant, but it's a totally different thing than once they refine it, process it, and turn it into a little white powder. So that white sugar, as much as you can avoid it, is a really, really good idea, because it actually overstimulates your brain. Like, it's so sweet, all right? It's so powerful. It's so much sugar that it's like more than your body can handle. It's more than our bodies can naturally, you know, are naturally built to perceive. So once we are constantly eating that refined sugar, also we could talk about MSG, another excitotoxin that's really common in our diets, especially with things like hot dogs. You know, those excitotoxins, they literally kill your brain cells by exciting them too much. And so these processed foods and junk foods literally kind of throw your taste buds out of whack and overstimulate your brain. So there can be a transitional period as you start to move, you know, farther from the processed foods to eating more natural things like fruits and stuff like that, that sometimes those foods at first, they don't taste as good because they're not as excitostimulatory as the processed cocaine versions of the foods. But over time, you can start, you know, your taste buds will come back into balance, so to speak, so that you get as much pleasure from eating sour grapefruit as you do from eating an airhead. And as you're in that transitional period moving through them, whatever you need to do to the fruit to make it more appetizing, maybe you actually need to sprinkle a little bit of sugar on it. But if you're sprinkling some sugar on pieces of fruit, that's still way better for you than eating starbursts and airheads. Oh, hey, awesome. Woo. Anna Lima. Anna Lima, you're a champion. Oh, yeah. I wanted to get a little bell to ring when people leave a tip, but I don't have a bell yet. So I'm just gonna play you the Jimi Hendrix chord. Anyways, Anna, I'm not seeing a question associated with your tip, but thank you so, so much. I cannot thank you enough. If you have a question, please, please leave it. So I owe you an answer right now. Whew, man, so many good questions. Okay, Ann Keating. I've had a lot of GI problems for the last couple years, and I just got a diagnosis of IBS. I don't know how to start to identify triggers. Do I eliminate all danger foods first? All right, Anne. So, not good that you got a diagnosis of IBS, but at least you have some kind of an answer now. At least you have some kind of a frame of reference of what is causing all of these problems and what you can do to resolve them. If, you know, I mean, so just resituate here. Noticing my own posture not being very good, which isn't very good. So when it comes to IBS or any kind of, you know, gastrointestinal issues, food allergies, and stuff like that, if you can eliminate all of the dangerous foods at one time, that would be awesome. And there's a really good chance that you will have immediate improvement in your symptoms and conditions. The only kind of issue around eliminating all of the dangerous foods first is that then you won't know which of those foods was the cause. And eventually you'll probably want to start reintegrating some of those foods, and you know, when you do that, you'll want to reintegrate them one at a time. So in order for your body to kind of refresh after being exposed to foods that it was allergic to or intolerable of, you need about 3 to 4 weeks of not eating that food before you can really allow the body to completely heal and repair. Because you won't just stop that food and then immediately the next day you're better. You may have some improvement, but really the recommendation when you're trying to identify a food allergy or food intolerance is to go 2 to 4 weeks of not eating that food. So you could do it a couple different ways. You could start by eliminating all of the dangerous foods, and you would probably start to feel a lot better very quickly. And then, you know, wait a couple weeks and then just start reintegrating them one at a time for probably 3 weeks. So you eliminate the soy, the dairy, the gluten, all right, and then go a couple weeks and then 2 weeks reintroducing dairy and see what happens. And then maybe like a week, I don't know, a week in between. Bottom line is just thinking with, you know, in order to identify which of those foods is the problematic food for you, you need to kind of isolate it. So you could also, you know, if it seems like too much to try and eliminate all of those dangerous foods at once, just start with one. You know, just start with gluten or dairy, or, you know, there's probably something that you suspect. You know, of course, over the course of your whole entire life, there's probably some food or food group that you maybe suspect might be part of the issue, and that would be a good place to start. Another benefit of reducing the dangerous foods, or what I would say is just reducing processed foods, is that it's going to give your digestive tract an opportunity to heal. So not only are you experiencing negative symptoms right now, but there's actual damage that has been done to the lining of the digestive tract, the actual environment inside of the gut, and that damage will need to be repaired. So the best way to allow your digestive tract to repair is just to eat really clean, and as much as you can, avoid eating processed foods. So that can be a little difficult in itself. Definitely we live in the age of convenience where most of the foods on the inside of the grocery store aisle are all processed. If it comes in a box, and especially if it comes in a plastic bag inside of a box, all right, if it has a long ingredient list, that's a processed food. So what you want to opt for is what I call minimally processed foods. So things that come in as close to their natural state as possible. And if you shop on the outside edges of the grocery store, so it's like the produce department, if you eat meat, you get it from the deli, not the processed meats, hot dogs and sausage and things with a long ingredient list, but things like chicken, turkey, beef. It's one food. It's not processed. And just really try to eat as many vegetables as possible. The best thing for nurturing your GI tract is vegetables. And especially when you get into those dark leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables, now you really have a lot of nutritional benefit. Another great thing for the GI tract is ginger. You can actually buy the ginger root and chew on it if you want something really kind of spicy and fantastic. You can also use the ginger root to make tea. You can also get it as a spice, as a dried spice. But making ginger tea or, adding ginger to your food, ginger is a fantastic thing to help nurture the GI tract. And I would also recommend you considering probiotics. So probiotics feed the what's called good bacteria in our gut. So there's tons and tons of microbes in our digestive tract and actually all over our skin, all throughout our body. These microbes or good bacteria perform really important functions. And unfortunately, they are kind of constantly under attack by things like sugar, alcohol, caffeine, processed foods, and especially if you take a lot of antibiotics. So we kind of live in a day and age where a lot of us are prescribed antibiotics really often to deal with this issue or that issue or whatever. So if you take antibiotics on any kind of a frequent basis, but really ever at all, taking probiotics after the round of antibiotics is a really good idea because those antibiotics kill all the bacteria. And that means your good bacteria go down with it. And it's a big reason why after antibiotics, some of us will experience yeast infections or other types of issues, digestive tract issues. It's because all of these really important microbes have been killed off and we need them to keep us healthy. So probiotics would also be a great idea just in trying to improve the health of your GI tract, hopefully get rid of that IBS altogether. See Kevlar, I don't know if you're trolling me or if you're being serious, but this is not really the place for questions like that. If you want to ask it in a less explicit way, I can maybe chime in on that. But I feel like you're trolling me, so I'm not going to read your question. Shannon Hill, is yoga a full body workout? Yes, definitely. Now some yoga is a little bit more gentle than others. Some is a bit more intense. But as a general rule of thumb, pretty much every yoga pose, or at least most yoga poses, fully engage your entire body. Plank pose, for instance, which is a really common pose in yoga, that is a full body workout. It's engaging your back muscles, it's engaging your core muscles, it's engaging your arms, and it's engaging your legs and glutes. Things like chair pose and all of the warrior poses. Maybe those are a little less intense on the arms, but they definitely engage your legs and your core. Definitely doing like a yoga class where you're moving through a variety of yoga poses is definitely a full body workout. And if you do our videos that are called power yoga, or, you know, basically we do try in the names of the videos to tell you guys, is this more of a workout or is this more of a stretch? Is this more for weight loss or what? So we have some that are like total body toning yoga. That would definitely be a great full body workout. Recently put up a power yoga with Jess. That's a fantastic workout. And she gets into some more advanced poses like headstands and back bends and stuff like that. So yoga is definitely a great way to get a full body workout. Tanza Afroj, how to get slim and tight legs and thighs. I think, honestly, yoga is probably one of the best things to do. So those warrior poses, it kind of looks like, doesn't really look like a lunge, but, you know, like your legs are out. There's so much engagement in your inner thighs and your legs and your glutes in those warrior poses. They're fantastic. Again, chair pose, fantastic for your legs and glutes and stuff like that. We also have a variety of like ballet inspired workouts. I think ballet and Pilates are also fabulous for aiming those areas. Somebody else is asking down here, if I do the same splits stretch every day, will it make me more flexible? What I would like to mention, kind of tying these two questions together, is that, you know, I would not necessarily recommend just doing one single stretch over and over and over. The thing about the body is that there's tons of different muscles. And any flexibility challenge or pose that you're working towards, they all engage multiple muscle groups. There's not a single, you know, pose or whatever that it's like, oh, this just works this one area. Everything is connected. So you really, you know, will be benefited to do a variety of stretches. Or a variety of workouts in order to target the legs, because if you just do the same stretch or the same workout over and over again, that can be beneficial, but it's also not the most balancing for your body. Like, if you're just stretching your quads or you're just stretching your hamstrings, what about, you know, the other muscles of the legs? Or if you're just strengthening your glutes, well, there's all of these other muscles in the legs that need to be worked and need to be addressed. So, you know, I recommend that you guys do the yoga classes or fitness classes or stretch classes on our channel where the instructor has actually developed an entire, you know, group of different poses and movements that all work together to help you reach that goal. System of a Down. I remember that band. Thank you so much for your tip. Bow, chicken, bow, bow, bow. Wow, wow, System of a Down, you rock. Okay, sorry, I am a little goofy today. I'm sure you guys already noticed. All right, so System of a Down, thank you so much for your tip. Thank you for your generosity. Is there a link between depression, anxiety, and gut health? Really, really good question, and I feel like maybe you already knew the answer, because it's yes. All right, couple of reasons why. So we were just talking about the gut, we were just talking about the digestive system, and how there's a whole lot of different microbes or bacteria inside of the digestive tract that are constantly working. So a large part, obviously, is digesting food. Another big part is immune system. There's a lot of immune system function that goes on in the gut, largely because a lot of the potential, toxins or whatever that we take in that have to be neutralized by the immune system come in via our digestive tract, via the foods that we eat. So there's a huge amount of immune system function in the gut. There's also a huge amount of hormone or endocrine function. And a lot of our hormones are actually produced inside of the digestive tract. So the answer is yes. The health of our gut, the health of our GI tract, has a lot to do with things like depression and anxiety, because if the GI tract is not functioning like it's supposed to, your endocrine system will be affected. Your immune system will be affected. Your body will not be as well equipped to produce the hormones that it needs, and just to function the way that it's supposed to. Bottom line is that all of the different systems of our body are there for very specific reasons, and they all intertwine and work for our survival, for our ultimate survival. And so, the unfortunate fact of this kind of modern world we live in is that our digestive tracts are really not being well taken care of. We are constantly exposed to highly processed foods, to those processed foods. Not only do they contain unhealthy chemicals in themselves, but the biggest atrocity about them is that they are nutritionally void. So if you take an apple and you are able to actually say, okay, it contains this much vitamin A, this much vitamin C, this much of this mineral, this much of that, right? And then you were to take a, apple pie strudel by Little Debbie, while the apple pie strudel by Little Debbie would contain probably 2 to 4 times as much sugar as the apple, it would contain none of the nutrients. Maybe some of the processed foods, they add some vitamins into it. Okay, there's a lot of situations where, the food is so processed and so just devoid of nutrients that they'll actually add nutrients in. This is the case with the enriched flour that we see so much in virtually everything. If you start reading ingredient labels, you'll see enriched flour everywhere. And the reason that they enrich it is because it's so processed and so void of fiber and nutrients that they actually have to add some synthetic vitamins back to it just so that we can digest it, just so that we can eat it. So anyways, there is a kind of an attack on our digestive systems from the processed foods that we eat. Not only from the negative things those foods contain, but the fact that we just are not getting the nutrients that we need. Kind of similar way to think about it is that the foods that we eat become the building blocks for our bodies, become the building blocks for our hormones, and for all of the different proteins and muscle tissue, connective tissue, brain tissue. I mean, just get that saying, you are what you eat, it's really kind of true. Because the foods that we eat become the building blocks of all of the things that our body is making from day to day. So if we're eating a lot of unhealthy processed foods, that's what our body is using to make our hormones and to make our brain cells and to make our nervous system tissue. There's just so much effect that comes from the foods that we're eating. So I know that's not completely related to the health of the gut, but it's worth mentioning because oftentimes the way that our gut health becomes so bad is because of eating those processed foods. And I really do feel that processed foods are, are hurting us on a lot of different levels. And by improving our diet, just trying to eat more natural foods, less processed foods, we are really helping our body to improve all of the different systems. Your endocrine or hormones, your immune system, your digestive system, all of those different things are wildly affected. So just to kind of round this question out, yes, there is a link between depression, anxiety, and gut health. I would recommend you opt for more natural foods, opt for getting as many vegetables in your diet as you can. Try to stay away from processed foods, especially things like refined sugar and enriched flour, as much as possible. Consider adding probiotics into your regimen. I am not a huge fan of recommending supplements. I tend to feel like people should spend their money on healthy food rather than going out and buying a bunch of supplements. However, probiotics are something that I do believe that everyone could benefit from. It's one of the only things that I take on a daily basis. And probiotics are not only going to help you digest your food better and help address things like bloating and belly fat and just that general feeling of like sluggishness of our food not being digested, but yes, you can definitely have an effect on your mental health as well by taking something like probiotics. I have a video I am in the process of producing right now that goes even more in depth into the topic of probiotics, dangers of antibiotics, and how to support the digestive tract. Alrighty, guys. Zuzap, I just saw your question there about improving gut flora. So I've talked a lot now about probiotics in these last couple questions, so I hope that that is helpful for you. Butterfly World, is it possible to do yoga when you're not flexible? Yes. The whole point of doing yoga is to help you become more flexible. So even if you're not flexible at all, doing yoga would be an awesome idea because it's going to help you become flexible. And even if you are stiff as a bone, not flexible at all, it will still be beneficial for you to start trying some of that beginner's yoga. If that's too much, or doesn't feel good or feels too hard, check out some of our stretches for complete beginners videos, or the recent video we just posted, stretches for the inflexible. Just start easing your body in and you will become more flexible, period. All right, Mr. Nibble's mommy, my friend Amanda, thank you so much for being here. It's so good to see you. Thank you for moderating. Definitely appreciate it. And so Amanda's question, what can I do to improve liver function after learning that I have fatty liver disease? I have frequent upper abdominal pain from it. Oh no, I'm really sorry to hear that you're having pain from it. So the liver, we typically think about liver and alcohol. Liver helps us process alcohol. But alcohol is not the only thing that is terrible for our liver. The liver is a very important organ for just general detoxification in the body. So that's why alcohol is so negatively affecting on the liver, right? Because that's a pretty intense toxin for it to neutralize. But the liver also has to neutralize non-alcoholic toxins, and that's why we have actually a pretty high level of what they call non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So supporting your liver, a couple of just basic things to know about your liver is that or what's another way to put this, again, processed foods are never going to be something that is supportive to your body, and your liver is included there as well. So opting towards natural foods is a great idea. Foods specifically that help support the liver would be things like olive oil, but in its raw state. So not cooked, but using olive oil as like a salad dressing or something like that. Olive oil is very beneficial. Apple cider vinegar is also very beneficial for the liver. So you can take that in a capsule. You can add some to some water. I love making, pretty much when I eat a salad, I try to eat one every night. But I will make my dressing with a little apple cider vinegar, some of that, natural organic olive oil. And that's a great way for me to know that I'm getting apple cider vinegar, olive oil. Other good things would be like beets. Beets are also really good for your gallbladder, kind of a related organ. Watermelon is a great source of glutathione. So interestingly, watermelon is also really fantastic for your liver. I believe papaya, there's an enzyme in papaya that's a really good digestive enzyme. It's also really great for your liver as well. I did a video on liver cleansing and talking about foods to support the liver, so you could check out that video. You can actually consider doing a liver cleanse or just really trying to eat less processed foods, add some of those liver supporting foods into your diet, and just really upping your vegetable intake as much as possible. Maybe even taking some kind of a, daily vitamin that is made with vegetables, not from synthetic vitamins. But when you actually look at the label, there's a bunch of foods listed. And that's how you know that you have a vitamin that is taken from natural sources, food-based sources, rather than just synthetic vitamins. Amanda, thank you for your question. I really hope that the pain goes away. That sounds awful. And I will see if I can find even some more information for you that's maybe more specific to fatty liver disease, rather than just general liver support tips, which is what I was just giving. Somebody's talking about turmeric, a wonderful antioxidant, also a great anti-inflammatory. So anyone with arthritis or anything ending with itis, another way to know if your condition is inflammatory is to ask, have you been prescribed steroids for your problem? So it's kind of crazy. We're in this day and age where almost anyone I talk to who's recently been to the doctor for some problem, almost all of them are prescribed steroids. Prednisone. It's kind of like the most common one right now. And the whole point of steroids is to fight inflammation. So any type of condition where you've been prescribed steroids or it ends with itis, that means it's inflammatory. That means you can look up anti-inflammatory diet, and that will be a really good way to help improve that situation. Again, basically it's staying away from processed foods, eating lots and lots of vegetables as much as possible. And something like turmeric is a fantastic anti-inflammatory. You can take it in capsules, you can add it to stuff, you can make drinks with it. It doesn't have a very strong flavor. So I tend to add turmeric to almost everything I make. But the turmeric capsules, I've actually heard people have very, very pronounced benefits from taking turmeric capsules in terms of like reducing arthritis and other kind of inflammatory pain like that. Oh yeah, milk thistle. It's also great for the liver. scrolling for question marks. May Hemmings, I've been having some trouble falling asleep lately. Any tips? I don't know if you are familiar with ASMR, Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, but you don't really need to know that. You just need the 4 letters, ASMR. Basically, this is an entire genre of YouTube videos dedicated to reducing stress and helping people sleep. So there are tons of different what we call ASMR triggers. Some people actually feel a tingling sensation from certain triggers. That's what the ASMR technically stands for. But nowadays I kind of think of it as like a general term, like for this type of video, for this kind of style of video. There's a lot of different triggers. Some of them are things like whispering. There's lots of just really quiet sounds, like tapping. Not sure if y'all can even hear that. Can also like tap around the thing and you'll actually get what they call binaural, or 2 different sounds in each ear, like 3D noises. Crinkling, tapping, whispering, or soft speaking. Some people don't like the whispering at all. But anyways, I would just encourage you to put in ASMR and check out some of those videos. I think that the whole idea, the whole reason that these videos can help us fall asleep so much is that it's about taking your mind off of your mind, for lack of a better term. So oftentimes when we're laying in bed, we're trying to fall asleep, we can't fall asleep. It's because we're just stuck in all of our thoughts. We're worried about what's going on tomorrow. We're thinking about something that happened today. I will usually lay in bed and think about video topics, or always laying in bed thinking about work. Like, oh, we should make a yoga video about this, or oh, what if I tried a camera angle like this, or what if I tried an ASMR video with the microphone inside of a sponge? Like I'm always thinking about work. The idea is that we are able to kind of take our mind out of our mind and focus it on something in our real environment. So May, I see that you said, I love ASMR, but sometimes it doesn't help. So I would, if watching somebody else's ASMR videos doesn't help you, I'd encourage you to self-administer your ASMR. And what I mean by that is by finding something in your environment and focusing on it. So let's take my cell phone, for instance. A lot of our lives all throughout our day is very passive. We're driving around, we're walking around, we see the things around us, but we rarely ever really pay attention to them. Perfectly good items, right? Cell phone, eraser for the board behind me. So rather than having a passive relationship with these items, I'm gonna really try and engage myself with these items and notice things about them that maybe I've never noticed before. So in the case of my phone, obviously it's pink because pink is awesome. All right, it's also got this cool texture. I actually bought this cell phone cover because I liked the texture and the sound of the tapping. I would also notice this little kind of honeycomb design on the side, scratching on it, feeling it. I'll look at my screen and notice that it's cracked. Luckily, that's my cover, the protective cover that's cracked, not the actual screen. Cell phone, maybe not as much, but this thing, right? So how many times have I looked at this eraser, but I never noticed that it has all of this cool kind of texture on the inside. So just really engaging with things. And I almost feel like the more mundane it is, the more it helps me relax. So I'm just really noticing like every single little fiber inside the eraser. I know I've done this before in a previous chat, so my apologies to anyone who's seen this before. You know, but you just start really feeling really super engaged with the things around you. When I'm actually laying in bed, I will often reach up on my pillow and literally scratch the pillow next to my ears, or even scratch behind my ears. I also will literally give myself an ear massage. And just something about, you know, like it's loud, especially when you touch your ears, you know, it's loud. I'm just kidding. But there's just something about like anything that you can do that's just not in your head that helps you engage with your physical environment, and just kind of forcing your focus onto something that is in your immediate environment, rather than having your mind focused on tomorrow or yesterday or this video I'm going to make next week. Pull your focus inward, into the moment. Be here now, as they say. Other things I would recommend for sleep. Consider how much time you spend in front of a screen. When we are in front of a computer screen, TV, or phone, our brain does not produce melatonin. Melatonin is really important for helping us to have that regular sleep cycle. So if you're spending lots of time in front of a screen, that could be one reason that our sleep cycle starts to suffer, because the brain's just not making as much melatonin. Now, you can supplement melatonin, but I really think it's more ideal for your body to produce it on its own. So just spending less time looking at screens as much as possible. Spending as much time in nature as you can. Another thing they recommend is rising with the sun. You know, I know, and I do not take my own advice in this area, guys. I do not go to sleep when the sun goes down. But I've definitely have heard it said enough times to know that one of the best ways to help our body get into that natural circadian rhythm of sleep is going to sleep when the sun goes down and rising with the sun to the best of our abilities. Having some kind of just standard timeline, or going to bed and waking at the same times as much as possible, that can also be helpful. Not having lots of lights on once the sun goes down would at least be a step in the right direction. So that's been a big thing for me, is just noticing, okay, once it's dark outside, I want to turn off the big lights, go down to a little bit less lighting, try to decrease the brightness on my phone, or not be on my phone at all once the sun goes down. These are all just ways to try and help get our body just more into that natural rhythm of sleep. Also going to be really important to consider how much caffeine and sugar you consume. If you're consuming caffeine and sugar later in the day, that can be keeping you awake at night when you go to sleep. Refined carbohydrates before bedtime would also be something to avoid. They do the same thing to your body as sugar, spiking up your blood sugar levels and then crashing, which I guess technically could be good to sugar crash right before bed. But you know, refined flour and refined sugar a couple hours before bedtime, I would definitely recommend you avoid it. If you do need to eat something as bedtime is approaching, opt for fats and protein, and staying away from carbs and sugar as much as possible. So something like cheese or yogurt or nuts or an avocado. If you eat meat, you know, eat some, you know, turkey breast or chicken or whatever. But fats and protein at bedtime would be much, much better for you than refined carbs and sugar, both in terms of health, weight loss, and helping you get to sleep. Sanjay Ganguly, good night. I wish you sweet dreams. Says it's 1:55 a.m. in India. So yes, it's bedtime for you. Thank you for coming to the chat, though. It's the middle of the day here in Texas, so I'm very energetic. That's probably a little much for bedtime. Jessica Holmes, any nutrient-dense smoothie recipes for my toddler? He loves green smoothies with spirulina, etc. Mahalo. Yeah, actually, that's probably amazing that your toddler loves green smoothies. That's awesome. Let's see. So yes, I'm a smoothie person. I saw somebody earlier was asking, I wonder if Corrina's a smoothie person. And I was like, yes, I am. I freaking love smoothies. It's hard to know what you're already putting in this smoothie, so I'm just gonna throw out a couple of different things that I like to do. Probably the most common thing that I do is chia seeds, but I'll actually soak the chia seeds in coconut milk or almond milk before I make the smoothie. Or you could just use water or coconut water as well. But once you soak your chia seeds for a little while, they start to kind of turn into pudding, which is also a great snack in and of itself. Just like making chia seed pudding and maybe adding honey and cinnamon or, you know, chopped up fruit or berries or something. But I'll do that in most of my smoothies. So soaking the chia seeds, letting them turn all nice and kind of slimy and creamy like, and then throw that in as the base of my smoothie. I also like using nuts in my smoothies, almonds, cashews, walnuts. Again, I'll kind of soak them in some water before I throw them in the blender just to help them get a little bit more creamy. Hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds. I mean, these are all fantastic, just simple little things to add in for some improved nutrition, for just more nutrients going in. Also love adding avocados to smoothies, makes them super creamy and delightful. I am a huge coconut water person. I drink coconut water all the time. So pretty much always use coconut water instead of regular water when I make a smoothie. Obviously, things like bananas, mangoes are fantastic. I'm a big berry person. I like putting berries in my smoothies. Sorry, I'm just like sitting here thinking about smoothies now, making me really hungry. I did a couple of different smoothie recipe videos. I did like a Reese's peanut butter cup smoothie with raw cacao and peanut butter. That's an awesome one. Interestingly, things like broccoli and peanut butter and bananas actually make a really amazing smoothie together too. Kind of like, what? Really? But it's really good. So I'm kind of a more is better type of person. I'm like always adding just insane numbers of items into my smoothie, and sometimes it just turns out like being really brown and doesn't look very good, but it's just like a taste explosion of different things. I'm not the type of person to just use like 3 or 4 ingredients in my smoothies. I like to add a bunch of different stuff. That's just me. Everyone's different though. Alrighty, you guys, so I'm coming into the final moments of my live chat. I do want to do one last call for alcohol, and by alcohol, I mean your chance to leave a tip. Last call for tips. I will do one more question here, but hopefully it will be a question with a tip. I would love to have another showing of support here, guys. We really do appreciate it. As I'm in closing, I just want to let y'all know that we do have our subscription service, Wellness Plus, up and running. There are hundreds of videos there, lots of ASMR, lots of relaxing massage videos, lots of yoga, lots of fitness. It's basically like what we have here on the YouTube channel, just way more of it. And there's a little overlap with old videos that we thought were really good and we should put up, but it's mostly new content that no one has seen before. So if you were to go and sign up for Wellness Plus today, you would have hours and hours and hours of new videos you could watch. We also are on Amazon with a lot of videos. So if you have Amazon Prime, it's free to watch the videos we have posted there. And if you do check us out with Amazon Prime, please leave us a review. We really like hearing what people think of the videos. We really appreciate y'all's, positive comments and feedback. So please leave us some reviews there. That's a great way to really help us out and doesn't even cost you a penny. Wellness Plus, Amazon. We also have Patreon. That's kind of the best way to get the behind the scenes peek at what we're doing here. If you ever have interest in seeing our bloopers and seeing little behind the scenes stuff and learning more about the process that goes into producing our videos, Patreon is the way to go. We really do try to produce cool exclusive content for our patrons to show our appreciation, and all of those links to all of those pages are going to be in the description of any of our videos, so really easy to find us there. Mango mint dressing. Man, I had a mango mint kombucha earlier this week, and it was so good. It was just the like HEB brand, I think. But anyways, or whatever the like organic brand at HEB is called, 360 or something. Anyways, it was really good. Mango mint kombucha. Wouldn't have thought about those two things together, but it was actually really, really nice. Jessica Holmes, it's so awesome that your little toddler son loves healthy food so much. It just like makes me so freaking happy. It is definitely so much easier to eat healthy if you can start your young ones with eating healthy, and then they just never get their taste buds thrown off by all of the crazy stuff and processed foods. So many people are like, how do I start a healthy lifestyle? And getting away from those foods that are literally excitotoxic, literally like the cocaine of sugar. Those things not only are so terrible for you, but they also throw off your taste buds and throw off, your likelihood of being able to get really into eating healthy foods. But if you can start them off young and healthy, young and liking vegetables and green smoothies, that is such a great step in the right direction. Cool, guys. Well, I am getting the signal that I need to go ahead and wrap up this chat. I want to thank all of you guys so much for coming. The real Donald is here. Says, I give up. I'd give you a tip if you answered my question to save my friend. Let me find it. So yeah, if you leave the tip with your question, it makes it way easier for me to see it because it actually bumps it up to the top. Let's see if I can find your question. Oh, the real Donald. Here we go. And I don't think you're the real Donald, just for the record. But I'm going to answer your question anyways. I was also injured in that war. I don't know what war you're referencing, but only minor injuries. I started drinking afterwards, but there are no major ailments from my side. Another friend of mine shot himself 3 years ago. How can I help? Help your friend that shot himself? A military buddy of mine lost his left leg in combat in Afghanistan and took a lot of painkillers to relieve his suffering. Now, 7 years later, he was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. All right, the real Donald. Starting with giving you a big hug. Because man, that is so sad. Okay, so so yes, unfortunately your friend learned the hard way that painkillers are also really, really toxic to our liver. I wanted to mention that when I was talking about the liver a little while ago, and I forgot. But there are so many pharmaceuticals which are literally toxic to the liver. Like, the liver has to detoxify those elements, and the liver can be very significantly harmed by pharmaceutical drugs, especially things like painkillers. So, how to help your friend with cirrhosis of the liver as a result from painkillers? Man, okay, so I am getting really sad thinking about this question. I am really, really sorry, the real Donald, or whoever you are, that you're going through this, and I'm really sorry about your friends that were affected here. I am going to say that if your friend can find a doctor of functional medicine, that would be my first recommendation, because functional medicine is all about restoring function to the body, trying to identify the cause of misfunction or malfunction or whatever the symptoms are, and then really seeking to resolve it. So in this case, it would be, how can we deal with the pain in a natural way? And how can we address ways to support the liver? And depending on how severe that cirrhosis of the liver is, it can either be remedied or repaired, or at least stopping the progression so that it doesn't get any worse. And again, depending on your friend's diet and their lifestyle, and I mean, there's so many different factors, but that's what working directly with a doctor, and like I said, functional medicine is what you want to look for, to really try and find a way to help him resolve that. I also would just mention that this is not the first time that people have come to me from the military with some kind of instance where they lost a friend, or one of their military friends took their own lives. It's actually really tragic when you study the rates of suicide among military personnel. We lose more of our military service people to suicide than we lose in combat. The rate of suicide among military, or among the military, is staggering. And I think that it stems a lot from the fact that there is so much pain, not only physical pain, but also emotional pain, guilt, that comes with that experience of fighting. So many times someone will feel responsible for another person's injury, or for their friends losing their lives on the field. And I'm not in the military, obviously, but based on what I have seen of emotional issues that people are dealing with once they're out of the military, I feel that they really do not give people the resources that they need, in terms of a therapist, of someone to talk to, of someone who kind of has some understanding of the grief and the guilt that come with that type of combat. So finding someone to talk to is definitely something I would recommend. I just send you the biggest hugs ever. And if you put in PTSD as a search term on Psychetruth, you will find a lot of videos we've done on that topic. I do want to mention that, you know, one thing I didn't know was that within the military, or specifically the Marines for this particular anecdote, there's a lot of shame around the idea of PTSD. And that the people I've known that were in the Marines, and I started talking to them about what was clearly PTSD that they were experiencing, trauma resulting from, or stress resulting from a traumatic situation, and that they were offended by being told they had PTSD, or even thinking that they might have PTSD. And I just want to say that there is no shame in that at all. If you have some kind of stress disorder, or, you know, you can call it PTSD or just call it whatever you want. But the bottom line is that once you are engaged in military combat and you see your friends and even children and families and people losing their lives around you, that has an effect on us. And if it has an effect on you, like PTSD, then that only means that you're human. And you should not feel shame or guilt or any of those feelings around that. Reaching out for help, reaching out for someone to talk to, I think is really the most important thing. And just knowing that you're not alone. And that you are, and I am so grateful for you and for the sacrifices that you've made. And I feel like there's nothing that I can really say in this silly live chat to make that situation better. But I do hope you can find some other information here on this channel. There is a doctor we work with named Dr. Colin Ross. He is really dedicated to helping people work through trauma. That is like his big interest. He has a book called Trauma Model Therapy. But anyways, Dr. Colin Ross, he is definitely someone that I recommend you either reaching out to him, check out his website, maybe consider seeing if you can either contact him or find some recommendations that he has of people who can be helpful in that situation. Alrighty, so I'm seeing now Robert Gualtieri, and I'm sorry that it did not notify me of your super chat donation. That's like this great thing about YouTube where they usually bump the questions up to the top, but I tell you what, almost every live chat there's somebody who's like, you didn't see my question, and I'm really, really sorry. All I can do is say this is, I would say, YouTube's fault because they didn't give me a notification. I swear when something pops up at the top of my screen showing there's a tip, I always, I'm right there. So if I don't get to your question, you left a tip, it's not because I'm choosing not to, it's because there was a glitch on the end of YouTube not telling me, not showing it to me. And my apologies for that. So Robert Gualtieri, here really is the last question of the chat. What foods do you recommend for maintaining good energy levels and also maintaining level metabolism? Okay, so first I just want to say that metabolism, our body's ability to break down or metabolize foods, typically when we hear the word metabolism, we're talking about fat metabolism. But there's a lot of different types of metabolism in the body, right? Lots of different stuff to break down. But typically what we're thinking of when we're thinking about our weight is our body's ability to break down fat, or our fat metabolism. So really the only way to keep your metabolism level is by keeping your physical activity level, or at least having some physical activity all throughout the day. The worst thing for your metabolism is being really sedentary for hours and hours and hours at a time. So if you can put a timer on your desk to remind you to stand up and walk around every few hours, or once an hour would be a good thing to aim for. But just breaking up the time that you're spending seated, inserting, little 10-minute or 5-minute workouts or whatever throughout the day just keeps your body constantly saying, hey, we need more energy. Hey, we need more energy. And as long as you're making those energetic demands, you keep your metabolism lifted. Now, foods for energy levels. Couple things to consider. When you eat the natural, minimally processed foods that I always recommend people eat, they contain not only a bunch of nutrients, okay, not only a bunch of, carbohydrates, protein, all those macronutrients, but they also contain fiber. And fiber is not only essential for your digestive tract, but it also slows down how long the body takes to break that food up. So when you eat something that has no fiber, like a refined flour muffin or a bagel, there's very, very little fiber in white flour. That's why it's white. It's just the starchy part of the grain. They take out the part of the grain that contains all the fiber and the nutrients. That's why whole wheat bread is brown, because it has that fiber. White bread is white because it's just starch. Very little fiber there. So when you eat something like white bread or a bagel, you get this very quick breakdown of the carbohydrates, a very quick, what I call a blood sugar spike. So suddenly your blood sugar level is here, and within a couple of minutes, it spikes up very high. And then it crashes down. So your body releases all this insulin to try and disperse that sugar around the body so that your blood sugar level can normalize. So what happens is that blood sugar spike, and then the sugar crash, and then there's no more sugar in the bloodstream, and we're hungry again, and our energy is low. Think about the sugar crash. You're feeling groggy, or you like barely stay awake. And largely it's because your body just burned through all that energy really quickly. So conversely, if you were to eat a bowl of brown rice or a piece of whole wheat bread, but again, it has to be like 100% whole wheat bread, not just white bread with caramel flavoring in it. What you get is the fiber slowing down the amount of time it takes to raise up your blood sugar level, right? And then a slower decrease of your blood sugar falling. So suddenly, what was, so if you had I always think about having a little, like drawing board or something. I guess I could use that. Anyways, maybe for next chat. But if you're thinking about, time is on the axis down here, right? And here's your sugar level. If you're eating white bread, white flour, processed foods, and processed sugar, you get this very quick spike and drop. Where when you eat natural foods with fiber, brown rice, quinoa, etc., your sugar level goes up much more slowly and for a prolonged period of time. So, prioritizing natural foods that contain a lot of fiber. Also, healthy fats will slow down the amount of time it takes for your body to break down the food and break down that sugar. Adding healthy fats to your meal is a great way to help the energy of that meal literally last you longer. More fiber, more healthy fats, stay away from the refined sugar, stay away from the white flour. If you put in blood sugar on our channel, I have a lot of videos that kind of go over this topic and help just give you easy guidelines for how to choose your low glycemic foods. That's what you want to aim for. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming. I've really got to wrap up the chat now, but lots of good questions today. Unfortunately, there were some kind of heavy questions today. So I'm feeling a little emotional right now. Actually, I'll be honest, I'm feeling really emotional right now. I'm probably going to go and cry a little bit at my desk, but that's what life is all about. I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your tips. I hope that you guys will come back again next week. Same bat time, same bat place, as I like to say. Please remember to check us out on Patreon, Amazon, and our subscription service, Wellness Plus. It's like Netflix, but for wellness. It's time for live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. I'll answer your questions about whatever you want to talk about on the Psychetruth. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Live chat. Live chat. Thank you for watching. Alright, you guys, thank you for coming. Big hugs to all of you today that came in with heavier questions. My prayers for you. I just truly hope that all of you can leave the chat feeling a little bit better. Hopefully gave you guys some information that can be helpful. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful day in health and wellness. I wish you the best, and I'll see you very soon.